Hello everybody, good morning y'all from Japan, and today we're going to be troubleshooting my GF8 version 3 STI. It has an electrical issue on it. So whenever this connector is connected to the trunk lock actuator, if you press on the brake, the trunk lock will actuate every single time. So we're going to be diving into the wiring here. I already gutted my interior just to get ahead of the curve with everything, and I didn't want to have a video uploaded on the channel about removing the interior. It's pretty self-explanatory. I want to dive more into the technical stuff with y'all. So I've removed all the interior trim, headliner, rear seats. This is going to be a great opportunity to dive into the electrical stuff on this car before we dive into the body, so that way we can get the car running perfectly electrically with no problems. So the only other issue besides the trunk lock actuator right here is the defogger doesn't work. So when I pulled the grommet open for the first time, there was two cut wires. I haven't tested them yet. Previously, last night, I got the third brake light working again. It was actually pretty easy. I don't know if you guys can see this, but the green and black wire are for your third brake light on the JDM GC8s. Those two run here up into your third brake light, and those were cut inside the grommet by the previous owner. I routed the green wire all the way down here and tapped into my brake light right here. Normally I would splice something like this and solder it, but I just wanted to get it done and get a tap going. We're also going to be resheathing all these loose cables so that way we can get some protection going with the loom. And the reverse light for the backup camera was a green wire, and in the head unit it's a purple wire, so I rerouted with a new purple wire with the right gauge that goes and taps into the reverse light, so my backup camera will work. So in terms of the electrical schematic, so this is for the trunk lock actuator, this circuit right here. So 44 E44 is up right here. I already pre-labeled it, so that pigtail is for that. And next is D43. D43, I already labeled this. This is the female part of the connector. And then it goes to D38, which is a male connector, which is right here. We're going to be following this down through the grommet, and we're going to be finding the right wire right here. So I'm going to connect this so I can show you guys the issue. And I'm going to go step on the brakes. So now I'm going to try closing the trunk. So it does this inherently whenever this connector is connected. I discovered it when I was actually taking the trim out, and the pigtail was disconnected when I connected it. That's when I noticed it when I started driving. I guess the previous owner never got it fixed. So I want to fix it. It inherently does it. So sometimes it'll do it, sometimes it won't. So I want to look at both the brake circuit and the trunk lock actuator circuit. My apologies. So let's dive right into it. So in order to follow the schematic, this is for the rear trunk lock actuator. So we've gotten everything to this point that I've shown you guys. So now we need to find D33 R47. That's going to be a black white to light green, and that's going to be a red blue to a red green wire. We're going to follow on to the next page. So we trace the cable down, and we have a R34 to a D33, and we need to figure out the correct wire, and we're going to disconnect it and test it. So I believe it's this one. As you can see, we have the black white going to a light green, then we have the red blue going to a red green wire. So D33 to R47, black white to light green, RL to, which is the red blue wire, and that's going to be terminal 2 to red green. So I went on ahead and labeled it for y'all. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook the multimeter up to this pigtail to the right leads, and then I'm gonna press the brakes and see if I get a 12-volt signal. All right, so now that we have the multimeter hooked up, I have the alligator lead from negative going to chassis, and then I have it on volts DC, and then we have the brake pedal depressed so you guys can see. And then we're gonna stick it in, see if we get 12 volts running through here. That's the red green, and then the light green is right above it. We're gonna put it on the first terminal. So we got a 2.5 millivolt going to that. Then the one above it, the light green, we have a 2.5 millivolt signal. So now what I want to do is connect it, see if the trunk actuates. Nope. Oh, gotta connect this up here. All right, so I yanked on these wires and pulled these out of the grommet. So this black and white striped light goes to the trunk lock actuator, and this black wire right here goes to the defogger as a ground. They're two separate circuits. This black wire goes to the defogger and acts as a ground for it. This black and white striped wire goes to the pigtail up here, which goes to the trunk lock actuator. So I'm gonna follow that and put the flip. So now that we've discovered both of these wires are cut for some reason, what I want to do is I want to connect an alligator lead to each one, and I want to see if the defroster works and if the trunk lock still actuates when I depress the brake light. I want to test the rear trunk lock actuator, so I'm going to put an alligator lead on here and here, and then I'm going to go and depress the brake and see if I still have that issue or not. Just to verify. Yep, that is correct. All right, so now that we have verified that this is the correct wiring and the trunk lock actuates whenever you depress the lock on the door. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to join these wires. I'm gonna run a black wire that goes through, and then I'm gonna join it with that, and then we're gonna put it in our loom that I made off camera, and then wanna get it properly all loomed up. Tuck these out of the way. And then I'm gonna start with the upper side first. I just gotta be careful of this weather stripping that's up here. I don't wanna get any solder or anything, any greases on it. I don't wanna affect the waterproof integrity of it because it's really hard finding a brand new seal for these hatches since Subaru doesn't make them anymore out here in Japan. So I was very lucky to have a spare black and white striped wire for running this. It's actually in the perfect 14 gauge. Let me just verify that. 18 gauge, sorry. So now I'm going to be cutting the rest of the sheathing on this so I can solder them and join them together. The trick is to twist the copper strands in the wire. And then we're gonna do what's called a lineman splice. So we're gonna cross them right here. And then we are going to wrap them around on each other. And then don't worry about the heat shrink. I'm just gonna slide it off of this end. It'll be totally fine. And then I'm gonna slip another set of heat shrink before I run this wire down through the loom. Or through the grommet, sorry. So now that that's good, we're gonna heat up the soldering iron and put some soldering paste on there and send it. Let's just feed it through here. So I have heated up my Milwaukee soldering iron. Be careful of the damper. trying to heat that wire up before I even put the wire on it. There we go. And the trick with a soldering iron is you're not gonna put solder on the tip. You want to heat the wire up and then you want to lay the solder on the wire. There we go. My microphone died on me and it's okay. I still want to show you guys how to do this stuff. Just the audio quality just may not be there as good. So you're supposed to use a heat gun. I don't really have one. I don't really care. I just need to get this on. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna label this too. And what I'm gonna write on here is boot lock. We're gonna feed this through the grommet. I have a little trick for that. I'm gonna show you guys right now. So this is my trick, using a pick, at least a long one, then electrical taping the wire, and then just squeezing it on through the grommet. Yep, right here. That electrical tape basically protects that sharp end. What I noticed is there is a wire from my circuit that I was actually looking for earlier. So this, I believe, is severed. Yeah, ooh, that's no bueno. Because I just noticed looking at this, so that's a clean cut. Wow, this person really didn't like this wagon. Regardless though, let's finish feeding this through. That's actually one of the wires I was looking for the defogger. I thought that it fed all the way through, but I guess it was cut on the inside of the boot. Let's test these two. So we're gonna take this black and white stripe. We're gonna kind of leave that out of the mix for now. What I wanna do is I wanna join these two, different circuit, and then I wanna test the defogger. Because I've been itching to see this thing work for the past 2 years, and I finally got around to it. So we're gonna hook the red up to the red, and then we're gonna hook the black to black. Sorry to kind of disrupt halfway, but once I know if the circuit works or not, we'll do that later. I just want to test this in the meantime, and then I'm gonna go put my key on in the ignition. All right, I'm gonna go turn the defogger switch off. All right, nothing. All right, so the wiring from here back is good, so that would indicate the defogger is working as intended to. So I know we're going over a lot right now with 2 different circuits with the defogger and the trunk light, but I'm so happy that both of them are working right now.